Hey y'all, welcome to episode 37. I'm Jennie O'Connor, and I help multi-passionate creatives slay imposter syndrome so they can grow their influence and self-promote with grace. Let me ask you a question. Are you working a job that brings you no satisfaction while looking over your shoulder at all of things you wish you could be doing that truly light you up? Do you dream of somehow combining all of your loves into a venture that makes you actual money? I've created the multi-passionate master plan that will help you do just that. And right now, I'm looking for beta testers to take the 6-week group coaching program for a test drive. If you're committed to making 2022 the year you stop working a job you hate and finally find the career love of your life, then head on over to jennyeoconnor.com/masterplan to grab an application. I'm only accepting 3 uber-committed beta testers. So if this sounds like something you want access to, don't wait. Go apply today. I am super excited, you guys, because today we are talking to the lovely Nina Cole. Nina is a content creator, dog psychologist, brand ambassador, Instagram coach, and lover of magic. And she has a fascinating story about overcoming adversity and seizing the day. I didn't even ask a lot of questions in this interview. I just really wanted to let her tell her tale. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hi, Nina. How are you doing today?
Yes, I'm good, thank you.
Fantastic.
It's, I think, just gone 5 o'clock here in the UK, so not so early as you.
No, you've had a full day already. So thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest here, even at the end of your busy day. I think you have such an incredible story, and I think we'll just kind of unpack it little by little. And I really sort of want to start with the year that you turned 39. But before we get to that, let's go back a little bit. Okay, you're here on the show called the Everything Enthusiast for multi-passionate people who want to do a lot of different things. Have you always identified as a multi-passionate person?
That's a little bit lost on me. I'm not sure what you would class a passionate person. It's probably my ignorance being from the UK, but I've not heard that term before. Could you elaborate so I know how I can answer?
Sure, absolutely. It's become kind of a buzzword, but it's fairly new on the scene, and it simply means someone who wants to do a lot of different things. Now, your story is going to, as it unfolds, people are going to see that you've done the same thing for a very long time. But for the listeners, the way that Nina and I connected was through Adam Shively, who you hear me talk about on almost every other episode because I love this man and he has been sort of my podcasting guru. And immediately upon meeting you, Adam was like, oh my God, Jennie, you have to meet Nina. She is absolutely an everything enthusiast. I also think, after having researched you online, that you fall into this category, but that's the reason I wanted to ask you. You maybe don't necessarily even recognize that in yourself. And the way a lot of us describe ourselves is having shiny object syndrome. Like, we always want to go do something. So we're kind of easily distracted, but we love a lot of different things. We're enthusiastic about a bunch of things. So tell me if that describes you, or maybe not so much.
It would now. I mean, from day dot, I was always around animals. So that has been my absolute passion. I lived on farm property, so there were no other children living there at all. And I was out in the fields from 5 years old, watching the lambs play. I used to go up and visit the bull. I even used to watch the rats scurrying around underneath the shed next to our farm cottage. So I knew that my real dream, I always wanted to work with animals in some capacity. But unfortunately, I didn't really have the wherewithal to go into veterinary nursing or to be a vet. I think probably because I could have been a bit dyslexic, but didn't know it. And dyslexia in those days, because I'm 66 now, But in those days, I don't think that word was even invented. But I did used to struggle with certain things. So when I left school, I really wanted to do something different. But of course, my mother pushed me into secretarial work. So I was really miserable doing that. And then my father branched out and started his own painting and decorating business. And I decided that's what I wanted to do. And so I went to work with him. And in those days, it really wasn't heard of for a woman to be doing a man's job. So I guess going back that far, I trained as a painter and decorator, and then I worked with him until his death when I was 39. That's where I think you're interested in picking up the story, which is when I had a nervous breakdown, which probably it was, I would say, even compared to the brain hemorrhage, I don't think I could ever go back and relive that year, because I got so close to ending my life, not because I wanted to die, but because I was constantly in panic. I couldn't come down from these panic attacks. And the doctor reluctantly gave me diazepam, which actually made me feel normal. Now, if I took one now, I would be totally zonked. And I'd probably be walking around, like a zombie. But then it just gave me normality for a very short time. And I had my German. Do you want me to stop? Because I am going on a bit.
I'm merely going to prompt you to tell your story. So you're doing everything right, but let's back up real quick. What was the start of the nervous breakdown? What prompted that?
Okay. So I remember getting a call from my mother, and she was screaming, saying that she thought my dad had a heart attack or something. So I don't remember how I got there, but I didn't live very far from them. But anyway, he died. And you've got to remember that I worked with him as well. So he was like my comfort blanket. He was just such a big figure in my life, and to have him just taken away from me, it was surreal. And I would say for the first 6 weeks, it didn't really dawn on me, and I couldn't go to his funeral. I just could not go. And looking back, I think it's something that I should have done. And I just remember going to sleep one night and waking up in a full-blown panic attack. And I think unless you've had a panic attack, it's so difficult to describe. And I really didn't know what it was or what was going on. And I went to see my doctor, and he basically said, we can try and bring your heart rate down with beta blockers. But it sounds as though you're having a bit of a breakdown because of the death of your father. But we really don't want to send you to see anybody, because if we did, it would stay on your medical records. And it could be problematic for you. And again, in those days, mental illness was a bit of a no-no. And
sure.
Yeah. So for the next few months, I was just in constant panic. And when I took the beta blockers, I would pass out because my heart would go from racing to slowing down, and boom. And after, I would say, probably 6 months of being like this, I just thought, I can't carry on like this. This is no life. And my German Shepherd, Ben, and forgive me if I get a bit teary, because, he was, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here now. But I remember having these tablets in my hand. I think they were paracetamol, but I can't remember. And, I was just sitting here, and he was looking up at me. And as I took the tablets out, he literally just jumped up and knocked them out of my hand.
You're going to make me cry.
I'm sorry, but I do.
No, it's okay.
I'd never told this story until I went on to Clubhouse. And I remember telling it on Clubhouse only to help someone else, and I totally broke down. But anyway, the tablets went everywhere, and he just looked up at me as if to say, you've got to get a grip.
Yeah.
So I did, and I thought, right, what can I do? And so I found a hypnotherapist, and that was on the road to recovery. But I was just so close to that dog. And when I left him, it was just like a piece of me went with him, and it will never come back.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
it makes so much sense that you have chosen the career path that you have, especially after hearing this story. I do not want to spend this episode dwelling on the bad things, because there's so much good that came out of this, but also around the time you were dealing with these things, your husband was diagnosed with something?
Yes. So I basically trundled on, and I got my life together. And then I would say, oh gosh, actually the breakdown happened before, I'm sorry. But age 39, my husband was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And as you can imagine, it was huge. I mean, he was 3 years older than me then. And he underwent quite a few tests, and eventually we got the diagnosis. So we were dealing with that when it could have been 6 months or less. We'd just come to terms with that, and I started suffering really bad headaches. And to cut a long story short, I was released from hospital. The specialist said that basically I was neurotic and there was nothing wrong with me. And then I just collapsed outside of the hospital gates. And apparently they used jump leads on me, because I think my heart stopped at one point.
Oh my God.
And then I was rushed to a London hospital. And if it wasn't for those people, I would not be here talking to you now. So, but that wasn't as scary as having a nervous breakdown, because I was so drugged up and in so much pain that I wasn't really aware of what was going on. So, but you know, I think if you speak to anybody that has a life-changing illness, it does make you reevaluate your life. And during my recovery, I decided, you know what, I just want to do something working with animals. And so as soon as I was able, I did some research, because I remember my mum putting our then dog into a kennels, and he came out and he really wasn't good at all. Oh. And funnily enough, in the States, live-in pet sitting was just taking off, and visiting pet sitting. But in the UK, it really wasn't heard of. So I did a lot of research and spoke to people in the USA that were doing it. And I did have a bit of a background of promotional work, because I worked in a newspaper for a short time. Okay. So I galvanized our local paper and local businesses, and we had a great launch. And within 6 months, my husband, who was then at university studying microbiology, had to leave to help me because I was just overrun with work.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's just so great that it just, your enthusiasm for it, I believe, is what made it just explode overnight almost, you know. That's incredible. So it started with you just offering dog walks and pet visiting.
Yes.
But it grew. Tell us about how it grew.
So I would say within about 6 months of being in business, we were struggling to cope. And we got a few more people interested, and they started helping us. And then someone called me and said, do you do live-in care? And I thought, well, do you know, I've not really thought about this, but there's obviously a market for it. Now, I knew that I wouldn't be capable of taking people on a paid basis. So we then went from a partnership and we were called Nina's Nannies for Pets at the time. So we went from a partnership to a limited company. And again, I looked to the States because it had progressed then to people where you are offering that service. And I think it was Pet Sitters International that was American. We joined those and they helped a lot. We got insurance, set everything up. And then over the years it grew. We took more and more people on. They were mainly retired people, because it was retired people that could actually sort of commit to staying in people's homes.
Sure.
And it was just wonderful. Our reputation grew, and we honestly thought it was bomb-proof. And even when the Twin Towers fell, we had clients over there at the time. And we were able to juggle the schedules. So we managed to keep our sitters that were already sort of working, you know, so we didn't have to change pet sitters. So people that had been in the States and were stuck there, you know, at least had the comfort knowing that they didn't have to worry about their pets and their homes. So it truly felt bomb-proof. But the thing was, it grew so much. I think we had about 30 people working for us. And, you know, I just didn't feel as though I was being able to keep giving 100%. Because when you've got your own business, it's like you're frightened of losing the reins in case somebody didn't do as good a job as you did. And
Sure.
because it was such a personal service, that was my problem. So then COVID hit, and, you know, in a way it was a blessing for me because it was just taken out of my hands.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's amazing that you can see it that way, because I know,
Yeah.
and I'm so sorry that happened to you and the millions of other people that happened to, but to be able to find a silver lining is a skill. Not everybody has that. And that is exactly what your story, that's why I asked you to come onto the show and tell your story, because I think your ability to pivot, as you have done on multiple occasions, is what makes you so extraordinary. So it wiped you out when COVID hit, and you were sad about that, as naturally. But then what happened?
My link with the States reared its head again. And Instagram had just started and become popular. And I was on Instagram, but it was just for friends and family, really, and making a few acquaintances. But through this girl that was, I'm not sure where she lives, I think it's California, but we got chatting and she said, listen, Nina, I'm doing something on the law of attraction. Now, I was a huge Harry Potter fan, even at my age.
Same.
Yeah, all the books. In fact, I'm wearing Harry Potter socks at the moment.
I love you. That's amazing. I dated a guy who had not multiple Harry Potter tattoos on his body. We were like the ultimate nerd couple. Yeah. So I'm right there with you. Continue.
Well, she said, you know, I'd love you to be a beta tester for me for a manuscripting journal that I'm putting together. And I said, I would absolutely love to, because I was born on Halloween. So I was always a little bit drawn towards magic. And I think you call it woo-woo, don't you, in the States?
We do, but I am all about it. So
right. So I started manifesting every morning, and I even went out and bought another small deck of tarot cards, and I started using sage again, and all my witchy stuff was coming out then, and I was asking for direction to start again, even though I was 65, because I know I will always be working. And yeah, so Clubhouse came along and another door opened. I made some amazing friends on Clubhouse, and I pivoted again. So I changed my Instagram account, And my last German Shepherd, sadly, we lost him. And I said to my husband, I really do want to adopt. And I just want a scruffy little dog, because I love German Shepherds.
Yeah.
But, I think when you reach a certain age, German Shepherd owners will know that they do need a lot of mental stimulation. And I'd reached the age where I didn't feel I could commit fully.
Mm-hmm.
So Ellie came up on this rescue site, and I just knew we were meant to be together. It was so surreal. But I live in Dorset and she was down in Wales, which is about a 3-hour drive.
Okay.
So this is just before COVID hit. I should have mentioned this before.
Okay.
So I just had a hysterectomy at the time. And I was told I shouldn't be traveling, but I thought, oh, what the hell, I don't care. I just want this dog. So we traveled to Wales and we got her. And we brought her back. She was 9 weeks old. She originally was born on a puppy farm. So her right ear had been torn in half.
Oh.
We think, and the vet agreed, that she was probably in a pen with a lot of other dogs, maybe older puppies as well that were bigger. They were all vying for food, and that's how she got her ear ripped in half.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
But I remember looking at her and thinking, I don't know, there's something a bit special about you, Ellie, because we called her Ellie. And it was like having Ben back in a different form, but in a different personality. But the bond is almost the same. Mm-hmm. So I thought, what shall I call my Instagram? And I thought, I know, I'm just going to call it When Nina Met Ellie. And then, as I say, Clubhouse came along. I changed my Instagram. I changed the colours. And I thought, I want to continue working with brands like I'd done with my business, because I'd made contacts with brands and they saw on my website that I got a blog. And then the brand deals started coming in. And at the same time, I was learning about Instagram. And when I went into Clubhouse, I was listening to so-called experts on Instagram, and I was learning a lot because I am a bit like a sponge. And then gradually I got the confidence to start speaking in the rooms. And I thought, I'm going to start rooms called Instagram Connect. Don't make the same mistakes as we did. Or it was worse to that effect, and they're still going today. So my Instagram evolved. I still kept the same name. I'm now giving Instagram tips. I turned down a great brand deal the other day, but I couldn't commit to it. It was going over to France on the Eurotunnel and documenting our journey with a dog. But I just couldn't commit because of my house move.
Sure.
But now I think what I would like to do, hopefully towards maybe the end of December or the beginning of January, maybe doing some coaching as well. But I just love what I do so much.
So, explain what it is exactly. What are you doing on Instagram?
Okay, so if you listen to a lot of Instagram coaches, they will say niche, niche, niche down, because Instagram is saturated.
Sure.
It's saturated with coaches. The pet market is flooded. But I'm trying to help people that are building up their Instagram accounts in the pet niche and other niches to not do the follow for follow loops, because it's just literally artificially inflating your follower accounts. And brands are getting very smart now. They are looking at accounts that are organic, that have been grown authentically.
Sure.
And you can tell that very easily by looking at someone's accounts. Even some of the top influencers you can see are buying followers, and it's so easy to see. But so I've got that pillar that I am going down. I'm still doing my work with brands. I go live when I find another coaster walk that I haven't done before. I will go live and show everybody where I'm walking. Because the thing is, when people go on holiday, especially if you've got a dog, there's certain places that people will find that holiday makers won't. So I want to put together my favourite dog walks in the Dorset area. So there's lots of different things that I'm incorporating into my Instagram, but most of all, I am able to run riot with my magic. So Halloween was amazing for me.
So you just look like you're having so much fun because you make these posts and these reels about you and Ellie and magic. Right?
Honestly, I mean, you'd have to look at my account to really see what we're doing. But I'm kind of indulging myself. But my gosh, I can't believe the amount of people that are Harry Potter nerds.
Oh my gosh.
And it's great for me. And Ellie is such a pro, because as soon as I get my tripod out, she knows she's working.
I know. That is the amazing piece of all of this is you could have gotten a dog that, so I'm a cat person. I'm an animal person, but I have cats, and cats won't do that. So I'm just looking at how just absolutely receptive Ellie is, and she poses perfectly. I mean, she really looks like she was made for it. She's a stage dog.
She really is. And I did train for about 8 months to become a dog psychologist. And I did work at Whipsnade Wild Animal Park for a year studying the wolves, because I wanted to understand how a dog's mind works. And so I thought the way to do that was to go back to the wolf. But all the knowledge that I've assimilated, by the way, Jeannie, this is not beer, it's Diet Coke.
Oh, it can be beer. It's 5 o'clock where you are. You can absolutely have whatever you want.
But no, it's just, I'm like a child in a candy store. And next year I'm going back to Harry Potter Studios, and I'm going to be doing the shoot over there. But we just did, I love this reel because it's just Ellie sort of sitting on a stool, and she's saying, look, you guys, you haven't seen my mum in real life. And then I found Snapchat, and I found a clip where you can turn into a real old hag of a witch. And then the camera sort of pans to the witch. And I just loved it, because I'm not very good with technology and it takes me a while to learn. But my gosh, just learning is so much fun.
Yeah. And that is a quality of people who call themselves multi-passionate, or as I like to say, everything enthusiasts, is this enthusiasm for learning new things, which you already expressed is something that you have. And you obviously are good at doing it. You gain new knowledge and then you apply it to your situation, and it makes whatever you're doing better. I was amazed at the engagement that you get on your posts. Like, as someone who uses Instagram for my business, and it's a slog, there are times when it's super frustrating, but people are just into, I think, pet stuff in general, but your particular niche with the Harry Potter and the magic, I think people are just going wild for it. It's wonderful.
Do you know, Jeannie, I've tested a lot on Instagram, but I just thought I've got a bit of an outrageous side to me. And I was playing around with a post one day, it was a little while ago, and I thought, I wonder how many people will sit up and listen if I tell them I had lunch with the Queen. I mean, seriously, lunch with the Queen. So I started making up this story about how I went to Buckingham Palace, to have tea and scones with the Queen.
Sure.
And then I ended by saying, and if you really believe this, then you're bonkers. And honestly, it's playing around. But the thing is, why do you want to buy followers? You can tell so quickly if somebody has bought followers, because it's another discussion, but trust me, you've only got to look at their followers and you know that a lot of bots.
You can tell which ones are bots. They have 2 posts. They have a weird like name with a bunch of numbers in it. I mean, it is an Instagram can tell too. That's the thing. Yeah. Yes. Believe me, I was looking, I when I first started using it, I was getting spammed with those messages like, do you want 1,000 followers by tomorrow? And I looked and could immediately tell. I mean, obviously, if something sounds too good to be true, it is. But I've talked to a lot of coaches in the coaching space who did it wrong, who bought followers and got banned from Instagram for a while, or are now having to like shed people from their list because it changes your own ratio of engagement to have that many people, and none of them are real. So I think it's wonderful that you are out there teaching people how to be smarter on Instagram, but also, specific to this niche. If they want to do brand partnerships in the pet industry, like you've become sort of the go-to for that, which is amazing. You took lemons and you turned them into lemonade. And I think that's wonderful.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. That was what your story, like why it spoke to me so much, whether or not you like immediately were like, I am a multi-passionate person. I knew that your story would have a lot of value to my listeners. So let me ask you this. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Probably hang on in there, girl, because things will get better. Yeah. Never give up. As one door closes, another one opens, and you've just got to be focused, because life can chuck some real shit at you. Excuse my language.
Nope, that's all right.
But you've got to learn that it can't stay like that forever. So just focus your mindset. If one door does close, just keep looking for that other door, because it will open. Mm-hmm. It will happen.
Yeah, I agree. And I think our ability to pivot is unique amongst people who have brains that work like ours do. You can connect dots that other people don't necessarily connect, which can lead you to new opportunities that other people might absolutely miss. So you are a shining example of that, and just so inspiring. I love your story so much. So tell my audience where they can find you if they want to check out your Instagram or your website, all that good stuff.
Okay, well, my website is very much in progress. It's been so neglected. And hopefully, as soon as I get this house move, I will be able to start working on it. But the blog is the same name as my Instagram, When Nina Met Ellie. And my Instagram is When Nina Met Ellie. And I'm loving this new collaboration feature on Reels. But Jenny, the one thing that I do, Jeannie, sorry.
It's actually Jennie.
Oh, Jennie, sorry.
That's okay. People pronounce it that way all the time, so I just let it slide.
I would stress that I am not an Instagram expert, far from it. The whole reason that I do what I do is I try to stop people from making the same mistakes that I did. So, anybody that loves fun, magic, Harry Potter, I was very disappointed the other day because the sorting hat on the Harry Potter website put me in Hufflepuff, but I'm still a Gryffindor at heart. So.
I'm a Gryffindor too. Yes, I agree. And the sorting hat can be wrong sometimes. I mean,
oh, absolutely. Definitely.
Was that the first time you'd taken that test?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know it was there. But I'm a member of the Harry Potter fan club now, so anything that comes up. But yeah, I mean, whenever I feel a bit down, I just get lost in the magic of my Instagram account and Ellie. And I mean, you can't see it, but behind you I've got a wardrobe of stuff that people send to Ellie. you know, and half the time I don't know where it's come from, but she knows when that postman comes at our door. She's up at that window. And the other day there was a parcel for me, and she was most put out when she realized it wasn't for her, and I opened up.
Amazing. Amazing. She was absolutely born for this role, and you were the perfect match to help her embrace it to the fullest. It's so wonderful. Yeah. Well, this was so lovely. Thank you so much for being vulnerable, for sharing your story so that my listeners could be inspired by it. It's just been absolutely great. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Bye. Take care. So that's a wrap, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed Nina's story. Be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you found this content valuable enough to warrant a tip, you can show your appreciation by visiting buymeacoffee.com/Jennie O'Connor. You can also support the show for free by rating and reviewing. But if you do, be sure to take a screenshot of your review, post it to your stories, and tag me at Your Creative Fairy Godmother. That way, you will be entered into my giveaway for the best book I have ever come across on how to slay imposter syndrome, The Middle Finger Project, by the inimitable and ever so sassy Ash Amberjay. The contest runs until December 31st, and trust me when I tell you, this book will change your life. And don't forget to grab your application to be a beta tester for my new program, the Multi-Passionate Master Plan. I sincerely hope to change some lives with this course, and I'd love for yours to be one of them. You can grab that at jennyeoconnor.com/masterplan. So that's it for today, you guys. I love all of your faces. Until next time, get on out there and do the thing.